Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is going to be a review of NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. Now the show just got over just a little bit ago, so this is right fresh in my mind. We're going to jump right into it. First match of the night, Authors of Pain versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in an NXT Tag Team Championship match. They come out swinging. Very awesome match. Very cool way to start the show. Fish and O'Reilly pick up the win after working over some injuries, with Authors of Pain chopping down the bigger guys, thus being the smarter of the two. I thought this was a great way to start the show, a great match. These two teams match up very well. I liked what they did here. I thought it was awesome. And as you're going to see, I'm going to give each individual match its rating as well as the show. On this one, we're going to give everything a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. So, kind of like what the Observer does. This match I'm going to give it a 4 coming right out the bat. Really good match, really good way to start up the show. Coming off of that, well actually, before I say that, I did skip something. How cool was that beginning promo by Paul Heyman? Gotta love it when they use him in Philadelphia, a town where he's considered a conquering hero. Everybody knows the history of Paul Heyman, ECW in Philadelphia. Great way to tie history and the future together. I thought that was awesome. Now coming off the tag team match, now that I've digressed, we got our famous sitting at ringside shot of War Machine. Pretty awesome that they start off like this. I felt it tied into the tag team division. It was a good place to put them. The crowd went wild for them. Loved it. I thought it was awesome. Next up, we have our match between the Velveteen Dream and Cassius Ohno. Now, this match was I enjoyed this match as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about their gear, which is a little different to what we do here. Normally, I don't comment much on gear. But I like what Velveteen Dream did with the boxing style gear. There was a whole thing about the knockout talked about on the pre-show. So he had boxing shorts with his signature airbrushes stuff on them. Said he was going to knock out Ohno in 30 seconds. Almost did actually in the match. And Ohno came out. And it looks like they got official gear for him, or official stuff. That's different than just a playoff of the local sports team. I was really hoping to see a 76ers inspired basketball jersey for him, but we didn't get it. We got him wearing yellow and black, which to me was kind of a false flag, because I thought immediately, well, he must be joining the Undisputed Era, because since they're heavily yellow and black for their colors. He didn't, at least on this show, but it made me think that, and I wonder if they did that on purpose. So I don't know. But a little disappointed that I didn't get the Sixers gear, because I am a Sixers fan, being from Philadelphia. Go Sixers, of course. But great match either way. Velveteen Dream seems to get better every single match. This kid is young. I believe he's 23. And he's in there with a guy, Cassius Ohno, who's really one of the best wrestlers in the world. Highly underrated, in my opinion. Should be a main eventer everywhere he goes. And Dream picks up the win, which was a great match, great ending. Altogether, everything I liked. I liked everything about this. We had a newer star beating an older legend. I thought it was a good match. Well, not so much a legend, but an older, established star. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I thought it was another good match, another way to keep the show going hot, which led us right into our Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler versus Ember Moon. Now, this match I liked as well. There's really not much I could say bad about the whole card. I enjoyed this match. I liked how they worked it. I liked how Baszler was working the arm. I liked how she was threatening to injure her the whole time. I liked how Ember Moon countered and showed her fighting spirit, kind of. And that's the type of match this was, where the face had to pull a win out of them when they looked like they weren't going to be able to. I enjoyed that aspect. I enjoyed what they did with this. I thought this was a really good match. Not as good as the first two, but still really good. I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5. Thought there could have been a couple things better. Shayna's still a little bit green, but she's rapidly advancing, much like Velveteen Dream is. I believe Shayna's less than 2 years into professional wrestling, and if it's not 2, it's less than 3. So we're seeing a woman who's basically getting by on her God-given athletic talent at this point. Once she really gets it, we're going to see a superstar in Shayna Baszler. And Ember Moon, too. Ember Moon's also going to be a big star. She already is kind of a star, being the NXT Women's Champion. After the match, Shayna, of course, keeps her heel gimmick going, attacks, puts Ember in a chokehold twice. So it keeps the feud going, possibly for the next pay-per-view, maybe a rematch, maybe a submission match, who knows. Now we get the second of the night of our famous NXT signings in the crowd, Trevor Ricochet Man. I hope that's... Actually, I don't mind that so much. If they call him Trevor Ricochet Man, I'd be okay with that. I hope that's not a foreshadowing of the fact that they're going to change his name altogether from Ricochet to something else. Here we have, if you're not familiar with Ricochet, please go and get familiarized with him. One of the best junior heavyweight cruiserweights ever, already. He's up there with the likes of Liger, Mysterio, Juventud Guerrera, Ultimo Dragon, anyone you could think of. He's a great addition to anywhere on the WWE roster. I think they could build 205 Live around him, and he could be the star of that show, and he'd actually bring viewers to 205 Live. He is that good. They don't have to put him in the cruiserweight division, though. He can also go with the bigger guys. He's an extremely talented wrestler, and I'm glad they signed him. Hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed, they use him properly. They've had issues in the past of using cruiserweights in the way they should be. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they use Ricochet right. And again, I'm okay with they call him Trevor Ricochet Man. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. Next up, we roll right into Aleister Black versus Adam Cole. Aleister does this amazing entrance. This is an Extreme Rules match. Couple things this reminded me of that I think they could have done to make the presentation a little better and also given more nod and a homage to the Philadelphia history. They could have called it an ECW rules match. And I understand why they would want to distance themselves because it is a WWE show. They own the property though. Called it an ECW rules match. The second thing that this made me think of overall for the entire card is they should have did this show from the ECW arena. I know they would have lost thousands in revenue and ticket sales and merchandise and all that good stuff. But think of how special an NXT TakeOver coming from the ECW arena would be, and how the vibe in that building is. That vibe in that hallowed grounds, just kind of like Raw 25 when they went to the Manhattan Center. There's a special feel to that. There's a special feel whenever you see wrestling in the ECW arena that you don't get in the Core State Center. I'm sorry, it was the Core State Center 20 years ago. The Wells Fargo Center, or whatever it's called now. I believe it's the Wells Fargo Center. But anyway, it's where the Sixers and Flyers play, basically. Yes, you still get the rabid Philadelphia fans, and it's a crazy crowd, and they're super excited, but you don't get the ECW crowd. But I digress now that I've gone off the track a little bit. Coming back to the match, Cole and Black absolutely destroy each other. Some really sick moments. Aleister Black going through the two tables. The basically backdrop onto two chairs, not the base of the chairs, but the top of the chairs that Cole took. Some brutal shots. Some really good action. Some really good Extreme Wrestling. This is how you should do an Extreme Rules match in 2018 and going forward. We see Fish and O'Reilly come out to help their stablemate Cole, which brings out Sanity to equal the odds. They wrestle around some more. Again, really had the vibe of an ECW style match. This was an ECW updated match, in my opinion. Like I said, this is how an Extreme match should go from here forward. What these guys did should be the template. Got some spots that look hard and dangerous and stiff, mixed in with your normal wrestling, mixed in with two superior talents. I do believe that these are two of the brightest stars for the future of WWE. Aleister Black gets the win. Overall, love this match. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought this was an excellent match. In my opinion, probably the match of the night. And I just loved everything about it. Next up, we get our third and almost semifinal sitting at ringside picture of the night with EC3. And it was weird they spaced out the 3 from the EC. Just a little thing. They could have put it back. I don't know. They didn't call him Ethan Carter. They just called him EC3. He did his thing, pulled the 3 across. So that was a surprise. We knew War Machine signed. We knew Ricochet signed. EC3 hasn't officially been announced, although it's been heavily rumored that he was going to sign. So we got our first little surprise of the night. Even though, for a lot of the casual fans that don't read the internet, all 3 were surprises. So kudos to them. The talent they brought in these 3 segments, War Machine, Ricochet, and EC3, that's top tier talent. That's guys that can be in your main events. You got a main event tag team, a main event junior wrestler, and a main event regular just wrestler, I guess you would call it, heavyweight wrestler. Kudos to them for bringing all three of these talent, well, 4 if you count War Machine, all these guys in. They're really going to help the system. We're getting to a point where it's almost they got a glut of talented wrestlers there. I'm expecting within the next few months we're going to see some heavy layoffs and some heavy firings. Just because of all the talent they're bringing in, there's going to be some of the people on the bottom of the card that are going to have to make way for them for the more talented people. It's just the way it is. Now finally we get to our main event of the night, the NXT Championship match. Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. Johnny wrestling. Cien is accompanied to the ring by Selena Vega. We see Johnny's family at ringside, which includes Candice LeRae, which you heard me just say, this is the last of them showing a new signing at ringside. Kind of. Candice was there to watch her husband, but they did announce her and say she is signed to NXT. So, there's that too. And they both play into the match later on. These two put on an excellent match. 2 really solid ring workers, 2 generals of the ring, 2 guys that can carry a match on their own. We see Vega get involved. We see Candice LeRae get involved. They kind of neutralize each other. In the end, almost is a little too much for Gargano. The brutality catches up with him. Being dropped on his head a lot of times catches up on him. Almost picks up the win. We see Almost leave with Vega. Candice and Gargano leave. It looks as Gargano's sad, like he's going to cry. Gargano's the best babyface in a long time for pro wrestling. He is so good at getting the crowd and everybody behind him, including myself, that you felt that emotion, you felt that disappointment in him, which is hard to convey. We see him go off. NXT does their trick that they normally do. He faces the crowd. They put the little sign in the corner like they're going off the air. And right when you're about to hit the button to go back to watch something else or turn it off, Tommaso Ciampa comes out and hits him in the back with a crutch. So we got Ciampa coming back into the mix, giving Gargano to go somewhere in the future. I'm guessing Black and Almost will probably be WrestleMania, NXT TakeOver New Orleans, whatever they're going to call it. I guessing that's going to be the main event. Maybe they do something else. Maybe Cole in a three-way. Maybe McIntyre if he's ready to go by then. Maybe even EC3. Who knows? But I gave this main event a 5, including everything involved after it. The whole story gave it a 5. I didn't like it as much as the Extreme Rules match, but in 99% of wrestling cards, this is going to be the best match on the card. Unfortunately, on this night, there was a match that was a little bit better. So it's not so much that it's lesser. Both of them I thought were outstanding. Excellent A+ matches. Both of them I give 5s. As you can see, the whole show in a whole I gave 2 matches 4s, 1 match at 3.5, and 2 matches 5s. So we got really quality wrestling all through the show. Quality announcements, quality surprises, quality return. All in all, leads me to give the entire show a 5 as well. I thought this was excellently done. I thought, yet again, NXT is making it hard for the main roster to follow the next night. Royal Rumble is going to really have to do something good to make it feel as important as this felt. And I don't know that they have it in them, to be honest with you. But overall, a fantastic show. I loved all the matches. Loved how they brought the guys in and Candice in that they've signed. Great all together. Love the return of Ciampa. Love that going forward. I think it's an amazing story to work out. And I just thought the show overall was great. But basically, that's all I got to say on this one. My name is George Coles, and it's been a Heel Heat review of NXT TakeOver Philadelphia.